Welcome back to the Elise podcast, where we help women in perimenopause and menopause thrive unapologetically from the inside out. Okay, today I'm going to talk about something that is so against the grain when it comes to parenting. It's like in parenting, we try to learn how to say yes more because I feel like we're saying no all the time to our kids. But for today's class lesson, TED Talk, we're going to talk a little bit about we being me, because it's just me and all my personalities here right now. Welcome to perimenopause. We're going to talk about how to say no and what that feels like. So let's dive in. All right. Chances are you are a woman, a high functioning female, if you're listening to this, because likely you resonate with me and I'm a high functioning female. So we've got work, we've got family, we've got relationships, your partner, your spouse, friendships, and then your own personal goals. Maybe you're working on a physical goal, keeping your body in shape. Maybe you love to dance. Maybe you love to sing, or you're doing something for yourself. There's so much fucking shit and you are crushing it in all aspects. Except you're giving. You got nothing left for yourself. And at the end of the day, you cannot stay awake. Your head hits the pillow, you're exhausted, and then bing, you're wide fucking awake. Hormones are raging. You're tired but wired. You can't sleep. You're tossing and turning. Or you fall asleep in 3 seconds and then you wake up at 3 and then you're up till 5 and you're just like, you're going off caffeine and you're in this like nonstop cycle. All right. Let's get off that hamster wheel and learn how to say no. So there's 2 ways we say no: saying no to others and saying no to ourselves. All right. So I want you to understand that for every action, there is a reaction. Let's go back to science class here. Okay. For every action, there is a reaction. Every time you say no or yes, you're going to get the opposite response, whoever is in this like match with you. Okay. So like this pickleball match, if you will. So let's say, for example, you're at work and you're going and someone calls you like, hey, can you pick this up or can you do this? And you're like, yeah, sure. When you say yes to others, you say no to yourself. And when you say no to yourself, you're saying yes to something else. Okay. So let's just say hypothetically, you are running around and your kid calls you and they're like, I forgot my homework. And you're like, oh my God, I feel so bad. And you go back and you get their homework. By the way, I never did this. I was like, that fucking sucks. But you get their homework. And now because of that, you missed your lunchtime class that you were going to do, or a meditation, or your lunch, right? Whatever it is. So you said yes to someone else, you say no to yourself. But you're a mom. So like, what are you going to do? Make your kid suffer, or, not help out that friend. So, there's that balance of it. But then you have to remember that you're saying no to yourself. So why are we putting ourselves last all the time? Now, I don't want you to live a selfish life where you're constantly saying no to everything and everyone around you. So it's all about you. That would be a very meaningless life, right? We're here on this earth to give, to love, to be loved, to have purpose, to have meaning, right? It is my joy to give to my children. It is my joy and my passion to give to our clients, to give to you. In the very time I'm recording this, it's like 11:30 a.m. So instead of driving my kid to school, I'm recording this podcast, right? It's like I'm saying no to him so I can say yes to you and be here for you. Or I'm saying yes to driving my kid to an exam because it's his first one and he doesn't want to be late. And I'm saying no to my lunchtime walk. It's okay. I can walk the next 364 days of the year at lunch or whatever it is. Okay. So there has to be some balance here. But what I see happen for a lot of women is that we say yes to everyone around us and we say no to ourselves. Okay. So what we need to do is flip that and make it like that 80-20 rule. It's like I say no to a lot of things so that I can say yes to myself. But how do you know what to say yes and no to, Elise, is what you're going to ask me. All right. Now we got to get super, super dialed in into like what our goals, our wants, and our needs are. And maybe you don't have strong goals. Maybe you're just like, I just want everyone to be happy. I just want my kids to not be assholes. I just want to, have an easy time. I just want to blah, blah, blah. Like right now at the recording of this podcast, we are mid-June. I'm getting ready for camp. I have 1 kid leaving next week and I have 2 leaving the following week. And I have done fuck all except get underwear and some things off Amazon. I am literally saving it all to this weekend. So I know that my weekend, I am going to be saying no to pretty much everything on my list to say yes to everything for my kids so I can ship them off to camp. And then Albert and I are going to have a summer of yes. We are going to fucking say yes to everything. We've planned some back-to-back vacations. We are going to like let loose and we're going to say yes and have a little bit of fun, right? So it's a little bit of balance there. So you need to have that like goal set aside. So let's say, for example, You are working on your physique. You want to get healthier. You're not comfortable with who you see in the mirror. You want to step into your light a little bit and prioritize yourself. You've got to get super granular on like, what does that actually mean? Write it down. So it might mean like, I want to practice gratitude in the morning. I don't want to just like run out of bed and be needed. I personally, for me, that's my favorite time in the morning is my 5 a.m. My coffee. I sit in front of the fire, even in June. I love it. I love fire. I love the energy of it. And I meditate. I practice gratitude. It is my time. I get up early on the weekends for this as well because I love this. That's something that I say yes to for myself every single day. So if you're looking to make some changes, I want you to get really specific on what that looks like for you from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. The other thing that I want as a goal is like, I don't want to just fall into bed at night and like pass out. I don't want to do that anymore. I've done that most of my life. I want to like transition into bed. I want to be able to get into bed and not be so exhausted that like when a kid comes in and wants to talk to me, I'm just like, they're like opening my eyes, right? So, in order to do that, I need to make sure that I set healthy boundaries in my relationships, in my life, at my end of the day, and say no to some things. So, for example, this morning, my son Nathan, he skipped first period. Oh, bad mom, I let him skip it. But he was studying for something else. We have exams coming up, and it's like 9:25, and I have therapy starting at 9:30. And typically, I start recording podcasts at 9:30. Hence why I'm doing it a little bit later this morning. And he says to me, "Hey, can you help me with biology?" And I fucking love biology, so this is like for me, like this is my jam. And I'm like, "No, dude, I'm going to work. Like I can't right now, but I can do that later." And he's like, "Well, my test is today." And I'm like, sorry, like, no, I can't. I'm not going to miss therapy. But I did think, I wonder if I didn't have therapy and I didn't have a call, it wasn't quote unquote needed, if I would have still put that boundary in place, or if I would have said yes to him and then no to maybe recording this podcast today. I don't know. But at the time I was like, no, I need therapy. We all need therapy, but this was my therapy session and I was waiting for it. And I'm like, I'm paying for it. I absolutely cannot do that. And he was like, oh, okay. Right. And what he's going to learn is that like, he's going to have to learn to put better boundaries in place. If he wants help from mom, he's going to have to ask it during times where mom's not working. That's pretty reasonable when you think about it like that, right? But we're learning in real time here. So I digress. So it is saying no to others to say yes to yourself. So the more yes to yourself is going to mean no to others. And that's going to be super uncomfortable. And if you're someone who never says no, I'm going to encourage you. I want you, we did this in our community every single day. Your homework is to say no to one thing or one person. That's it. Just start practicing saying no. As a mom, it's really hard to say no. I get a lot of guilt. My kids, I think the kids just love to do this because they're like, you're never going to do this. You say no all the time. And we want to say yes. But like when my daughter asks for computer help at 9:30 p.m. and I'm in bed since 9:15, and she's like, but I need this now. I'm like, this is not a priority for me. This is your lack of being prepared is not an emergency for me. And I said, here's when I can help you. And it was met with, well, you say that and you don't mean it and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, it's not an emergency right now. We can do this tomorrow. So I'm saying no, so I can say yes to myself, because my goal was, I don't want to just hit my head to the pillow and fall asleep in an hour. I want to be able to transition, want to watch some TV, watch some fluff. Like it's my happy place. I want to do that right now. Okay. The other thing that we're going to have to start to do is say, now I'm going to flip that script. When the hell do you say no to yourself? Okay. So now I want you to think about saying no to yourself, not to say yes to others. All right. So we're saying no to others to say yes to ourselves. But I also want you to say no to yourself to say yes to your goals. So this is from you to you, not you to others. Okay. So step number 1, say no to others to say yes to you. That's like the first layer. Second layer is now you got to say no to you to say yes to your goals. So for example, I could say, no, I'm not going to help you do your homework right now because I have to go to work or I'm going to sleep. Because my goal is I want to be well rested. And then I get into bed and I'm like, ooh, I want to stay up late and watch this scary movie or this scary show. That's saying no to someone else to say yes to my goal, to then say no to my goal. Okay. So you versus you have to learn to say no more. Here's another example. Our clients will always tell me this. They're like, well, I was having a really hard day. And so my friends came over and we opened a bottle of wine. And I just was like, you know what? I need this. I'm so, drained from the day. And I just needed to like let loose. And I'm like, so you said yes to yourself and no to your goal. Okay, how many times do you do that in one day? How many times in your day are you saying yes to yourself and no to your goal? Probably more than you want. So you'll tell me that losing weight, getting in shape, fitting into your clothes, feeling like yourself again is the most important thing to you. But yet, when I follow you around, you're saying yes to everything and no to that very thing that you want. It might show up as I'm going to skip breakfast because I'm not even that hungry and I got to go to work. And then it might be like, I'm just going to have a salad for lunch and I'm not going to, put any carbs with it. I don't want that right now. So I'm going to like, be restrictive there. That's, by the way, saying no to your goals because that's not going to help you fucking stay on track. And then, you get home and you're like, oh God, I just enough time to make dinner. So I picked up a pizza. What else was I supposed to do? Okay. So you're saying no to your goal again. And you're saying yes to convenience. You're saying yes to I'm tired. Yes to I don't want to cook food right now. And then, your friend comes over or you're going out with the girls and they're like, hey, it's just one drink. And you're like, you're right. Like YOLO and I'm tired and it's summer and it's bad. There's always a reason. And you throughout the day, you said yes to yourself 100 times and you wonder why you can't stick to your goal. You wonder why you're not getting any closer. So it's kind of like a double layer yes versus no. Step one is to start to say no more to others, to say yes to yourself. And step two is then flip that and say no to you more. Now, you can't do number two unless you do number one, because A, you won't have the time for it. You won't even get there. But number two, you need the practice and the reps. Because remember, you got to pay the beginner tax. And if you haven't heard me talk about that, I will link it below. It's a fantastic episode. You got to suck at something before you master it. So the only way to start saying no to yourself and really practice that self-discipline, which by the way is self-trust, is trusting the fact with repetitions that you can say no to others to say yes to yourself. Then saying no to yourself becomes so much easier because you're used to saying it. And guess what? Sticking to your goals, whatever it is, becomes easier. All right. I hope I didn't screw you up so much in that and you were able to either have enough caffeine or hormone optimization to follow along. But if you have any questions, go ahead and share this, tag me, and I will talk about it on my stories, or I'll send you a message and explain it even more in a voice note. But again, just remember that the more that you say no to, the more self-trust you're building overall. All right. If you want to watch this on YouTube, I'll drop the links below. And of course, you can reach me anytime, Functionally Fit with Elise, both on Instagram and Facebook. You can check out my website. I got a lot of freebies there, and I will catch you on the next one.